What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another helium mining video. In my last video, we kind of lightly scratched the surface of helium mining, went into a little bit of detail, but not much. Didn't go too much into detail, just kind of touched on all of the topics about it. In this video, we're going to go a lot more in depth into all the questions you probably have about helium mining. That way you know before you buy one of these if this is going to be the right investment for you, and how you can know if you're going to make enough money doing this to even make it worth the price. Even though the price isn't that much, you definitely want to make sure this is still a viable thing for you and you'll make some good money, and how to kind of go about setting it up so you're in the ideal location with optimal antenna placement and all of that good stuff. Then at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you guys my results after 2 weeks of helium mining. So stay tuned to the end to see how much I have made so far. The results are, well, just wait for the end. So let's jump into it. All right, so let's first talk about scoping out your area so you know how much money you may make, and that way you can determine for yourself if that is going to be worth it, right? Because the thing is, everyone has that different number of what's going to make something worth it for them. Is it an extra $100 a month? Does it have to be an extra $300? Does it have to be an extra $400, $250? Whatever it is, that number, you have to decide for yourself what's going to make this helium miner worth it, given that the cost of these are anywhere between $300 and like $600 right now. So you have to decide for yourself what number a month that is that's going to make one of these worth it for you. Now, to help you kind of figure out how much money a month you may be making one of these, let's dive into my computer screen and I'll show you kind of a way to estimate and how you can see what other miners around you are making. Okay, so for example, let's go ahead and check out downtown Salt Lake and kind of evaluate some of these hotspots so we can see kind of what's going on and how you can know that even if you are in an overcrowded area, that you can still be making really good money. So we're going to look at a good example and a bad example. Well, not necessarily a bad, but a good and a better example per se. So we're here in Salt Lake City here, and we're going to click on this area right here that has 3. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of hotspots in this area, as there are, in most heavily populated areas now, because these are becoming more and more popular. But let's go ahead and look. Even if you do have, say, 3 hotspots in your little hex, let's check out what's going on. So as you see, we have these 3 right here. Now, obviously, this one right here is just 1 month ago, so it's a pretty new setup, so we're not going to, really count that in the mix. But let's go ahead and look at this one right here, Creamy Latte Crab. So here we are. In the last 24 hours, they've made $7, $8 about. In the last 7 days, they've done $54. In the last 30 days, they've done $170. Not bad at all, not bad at all, really. So they've got a 1.2 dBi antenna, and they say they are at 0 meters, which means they're pretty much just at ground level for where they are. Now, as you can see here, they've witnessed 83 different witnesses and 121 beacons. Now, this area in Salt Lake City, I know where this is because I obviously know the city. This is a much higher up area, so they definitely have that elevation advantage, because the higher you and your antenna are, the better line of sight your antenna is going to have towards other hotspots, to witness other hotspots, and to get more beacons. So when we look at this one right here, they've definitely got a pretty good setup here. They're kind of pointed towards the city. I'm surprised they have not really optimized this a lot more, because they are definitely missing out on this whole chunk of hotspots right here. They could probably double, near triple the earnings if they could figure out a way to hit all of these hotspots. There's hundreds in this area they can also hit. Now, I'm guessing what's wrong here is there's probably some tall buildings in this area or something blocking this, because as you can see, it looks like that radio waves are heavily favoring this left side kind of going out. So I'm guessing there's definitely something in the way or something blocking that antenna's line of sight to this right side. If I were them, I would definitely try and optimize that or figure out a better way. Anyways, though, so when we look at this really not a bad setup, right? I mean, they're doing about $200 a month, and they've got just a 1.2 dBi antenna. So now let's look at another hotspot in that hex, one that's doing a little over double, almost 3 times as much as that one. Now, when we look at this one right here, this one has done 94 witnesses in the past 4 days, and it's got 168 beacons. Now, they've done almost $500, guys. That is literally double, almost triple the amount that other ones done. They are doing really, really good here. As you can see, the difference here, the other one was at ground level. This one is at about 10 meters up, and they're also using a 5 dBi antenna, which means they are able to witness and beacon a whole lot more hotspots than the one with the 1.2 dBi antenna, and it being at ground level as well. So you definitely get a really big advantage being higher up, especially if you got the right antenna. Now again, it's important to emphasize the higher dBi does not mean more powerful necessarily, and it's not always what you want to do. Now I'm not going to go super deep into antennas, but we'll cover it in a little bit in a few minutes here, so stick with me there. So as you can see here, being in an area where there are already a lot of hotspots does not mean you are not going to make good money doing this, right? If you know what you're doing and your setup is right and you've got the right antenna, you're high up off the ground, as you can see here, this person, they're making $500 a month, where this person is only making, what was it, $230 or $100 or $200 a month. There's a big difference of what happens, guys, when your setup is right. So yeah, they're only making $170 a month compared to the other person making $500 a month, even though they are both in this same hex. So don't necessarily let it stop you from, even though there's multiple hotspots in your hex, don't necessarily let that stop you, because if you get the right setup, which we're going to talk about in just a second here, you can make a lot of money. Like you saw, $500 a month, right? They're doubling, they're tripling the other hotspots in their hex because they have a better setup. So let's talk about now antenna setup and location and how you can really maximize your gains. And then we'll jump into my earnings after 2 weeks so far of Helium Mining. So let's get to that. Location, location, location. I'm telling you right now, location makes a much bigger difference than your antenna ever will. Let me explain. So for example, let's look at this hotspot right here. As you can see, now actually you can't really see, but I know this location in Salt Lake City is very high up. It's above the city. Up here, they have other cell towers and other radio towers up here. So whoever placed this helium miner up here, let's just say they definitely know what they were doing. This was not luck by any means. This was very well thought out. Now, as you can see, they are up here with a 6 dBi antenna. Now, look how many witnesses they have. Over 200 witnesses every week is what they're getting, right? They place this antenna very, very well. It's a 6 dBi antenna and it's facing the city. Now again, this person is definitely not their first hotspot deployed. They are making a good amount of money, about $1,000 to $1,500 a month doing this. Now this is what I mean by location. I mean, they are up here above the city, able to look out over all of these hotspots down here. And for you, that's what it really is going to come down to. If your location is right, and if you get the right antenna in that location, it's going to make a world of difference. Now, for example, they have a 6 dBi antenna up here. Now, the reason why they have a 6 dBi antenna is because they are so high up. So they need something that can shoot kind of out and umbrella down, right? Take this image, for example, again, right? If they have like a 9 dBi antenna up here, not going to go over well, right? Because that shoots out in more of a much more linear line. They are actually going to shoot over all those hotspots that they are trying to actually witness. Now with a 6 dBi antenna, as you can see, it's going to make much more of that umbrella fall down over the whole valley, over the whole city, which is giving them the opportunity to witness so many hotspots. The more hotspots your miner can see, the more money you are going to make. Now for you and me and everyone else who buys a miner, the first thing you need to consider is location. Right? Because if you go buy an 8 dBi antenna, which is, super powerful, can shoot super far antenna, but you live on the first floor in an apartment building in a high-rise city, say like New York, an 8 dBi antenna, you are not going to make a lot of money at all, right? Because that's going to shoot out linear, and guess what that's going to do? All those buildings, all that cement, all that brick, all that metal, concrete, everything in the way, all those tall buildings is going to basically block all of that signal your miner is trying to send out, basically bringing your earnings probably pretty close to zero, I would assume, if you're trying an 8 dBi antenna on the first floor around tons of tall buildings. Location first, then antenna, right? First floor in a high-rise city, get a small dBi antenna, 1.2 dBi, a 2 dBi antenna, something in that range, so you can shoot up, high, and out, try and get around and past some of those buildings around you. Now, the most ideal setup is obviously if you can get really high and have a clear line of sight, like that hotspot I just barely showed you. Now, obviously, not everyone is going to be able to get super high up on a hill and overlook an entire city. That's just a given. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. I can't do that, at least right now. I haven't found out a way to do that. But some of you may know people, or you might already live in a good location where you're super high up, or maybe your dad or your mom or your cousin or your brother or someone you know lives in a high-rise apartment building looking over the city, or they live in a house up on a hill or something, right, looking over a city, or whatever it is, they just live somewhere high up, or maybe there's somewhere where you could just put a hotspot in your attic, or you could put a hotspot in their attic or on their roof. You just want to get height. Height. I can't stress that enough. The higher you can get your antenna, you're going to make way more money the higher it is. And that's just because of line of sight. Think about it. Wherever you place your hotspot and wherever you place your antenna, just do a 360, look around. That's the line of sight your antenna is also seeing. So if you look around you and all you're seeing is cement walls and drywall and wood and brick and stucco, that's also what your miner is seeing. So, right, obviously, if you can get it into an attic and now all you're seeing is some wood and there's some shingles, obviously that's a lot less stuff that your hotspot has to send signals through, which means it's going to be able to send signals way easier and also receive signals, which means it's going to witness way more hotspots, making you way more money. So it all comes down to location. The higher you can get, the more money you'll make. Get the location first, then worry about different antenna types. Finally, let's go ahead and talk about how much money I've made in my first 2 weeks mining helium. Now, I have only made about $75 mining helium. You probably can't even see my phone screen, it probably just looks white. Anyways, I have made about $75 mining helium in the first 2 weeks. Now, a lot of you probably see that and you go, only 75 bucks, that's only what, 150 to 200 bucks a month is what I'm kind of making right now. And yeah, you're right. That's not a lot of money in these last 2 weeks. Not super hyped about that, to be honest, but let me explain. The first 11 days of my mining experience, I had my hotspot miner just in my office window. My line of sight was not great at all. I kind of live in an area where it's a little bit hilly. There's definitely a lot of houses around me, and I need to get up and over those houses and get a much better line of sight where I currently am. So basically, that first week and a half, I just let it go, left it alone. I was only making probably $1 to $3 a day or something, nothing great at all. My earnings have definitely already boosted since I've moved my hotspot. I've recently just moved my hotspot into my attic. In my attic, it's already doing significantly better. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the details because in the next few days here, I'm going to be releasing another video of me comparing my attic to my office. And in my attic, I've also bought 3 different antennas. I've got the stock antenna, a 3 dBi antenna, and a 5.8 dBi antenna. And we are going to be doing side-by-side comparisons, seeing which antenna is giving me the most bang for my buck. So I'm super excited for that one, guys. So make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification button, like this video so that next video pops up in your feed so you can see if you have a similar situation like me. You kind of live in a suburb area, you got some houses around you, some small houses, nothing really too tall around you, but a little bit of a hilly terrain. What antenna is actually going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, or do you even need to go out and buy something other than the stock antenna? We'll definitely see in this upcoming video. I'm really excited, but let me just give you a slight tease. In my office window, I ran a discovery mode in my hotspot, and that office window is only able to discover around 40 to 50 other hotspots. Now, in the attic, my hotspot in discovery mode was able to see 150 plus hotspots. On my highest one, it was able to see 160 other hotspots, guys. Going from being able to see around 40 hotspots to be able to now see around 160 hotspots just by moving a few feet higher up into my attic, right? Like I was stressing, height makes a big difference. Seeing around 4 times as much, which goes to the reason that I'll probably make around 3 to 4 times as much mining, and I've already kind of seen that just with my stock antenna over the last few days here. Now, make sure you subscribe. Like I said, I'm going to be showing you all how much these different antennas have affected my earnings and by how much just being in the attic has really changed how much I'm making. So stay tuned for that video. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope I've been able to help you all get a better idea and help you know that even though you're in an overcrowded area, potentially, if you've got the right setup or you know someone who can help you get the right setup, that you can still make really good money doing this. So I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe. Let me know down in the comments, what other crypto stuff do you want to see me attempt? Do you want to see me get a Bitcoin miner? Do you want to see me get an Ethereum miner? Should I don't know, buy some NFTs, try and trade some NFTs? I don't know, guys. Let me know what else you want to see crypto related down in the comments. Super excited about these upcoming videos. And just like that, I'll catch you on the next one.